Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So here we are in the third reading stage, and the bill in front of us has descended into farce. The last three speakers, I think, typify the government's views of this bill and why we are debating here at 8:30 on a Friday night a piece of legislation which was superseded effectively by a 70-page supplementary order paper in the last 48 hours, and the last three contributions really underscore the contempt that this government is showing for the Parliament, for the process, for the people. Mr Boscawen, that well-known warrior for the rights of the people, contributed the entire contribution of the ACT Party through the committee and third reading stages in 12 words. 12 words was his contribution. Then he was followed by the Māori Party, and I regret I didn't pick up the earpiece to listen to exactly what was contributed by the Māori Party's whip, but I'd suggest that was less than 100 words in respect of this most important piece of legislation and the accompanying 70-page bill. But the tour de force, the cream on the cake, was from Aaron Gilmore, the list MP from Christchurch, the know-it-all of the National Party, who contributed again about 15 words in respect of this bill. And I would have thought this would have been a great opportunity for Aaron Gilmore to stand up. The Minister for Earthquake Recovery was in the House, may still be in the precincts, because this bill, as I recalled earlier in the discussion in this chamber, has a clause around it in respect of how we can provide taxation treatment, clause 28B, in the supplementary order paper, government grants to businesses. And I'd have thought that was a very good opportunity for Aaron Gilmore to stand up, somebody who'd like to be a constituency MP in Christchurch, who hankers for it. Well, he might have his eyes on constituencies further south, but in the interim at least, he'd like to be regarded as a potential electorate MP for Christchurch, and I'd have thought his best opportunity is to stand up and take a call and say what the government has done in respect of government grants for businesses in very hard-hit Christchurch as a result of the September 4th earthquake, some support which could have been provided under this bill, because clause 28B, as introduced in the just seen 70-page supplementary order paper, provides for the tax treatment of government grants to business, including the business payments in the nature of a grant or a subsidy to the business, in respect of a grant-related suspensory loan, and payments in the nature of an advance or loan other than a grant-related suspensory loan. So there's the mechanism. There is the mechanism in the supplementary order paper for somebody like Aaron Cowan. He's the more known new member of the Christchurch City Council. Aaron Gilmore, who would like to be a constituency MP in Christchurch, and I'd say to him his best opportunity would be to stand up and take a call, stand up on behalf of his family, who own and operate small and medium enterprises, businesses that are being knocked around by the quake in Christchurch. If you took a stand now, I can tell you that small and medium enterprises across Christchurch are reeling in respect of the earthquake. They were looking for a mechanism, and it's there in black and white in clause 28 of this supplementary order paper. There is a mechanism for government grants to businesses that could be picked up, and my colleagues are absolutely right, because I think Jerry Brownlee will put that blue ribbon seat into peril at the election, because he is failing. And I'm hoping that the Minister for Agriculture, another Christchurch MP, will take a call on this debate and tell us as a member of the Cabinet how hard he fought for his would-be constituents, the people he's grown up for, the people he stood to represent in the Canterbury region, and tell us how hard he fought to try and get some sort of relief as the tax measures provide for under the supplementary order paper and clause 28, because that provides for the taxation treatment of government grants to business, be they grants, subsidies, suspensory loans or advances. 4 different mechanisms that could have been used to provide some and hundreds of Christchurch and Canterbury businesses that are feeling absolutely abandoned by this government, a government which in most instances they probably voted for, a government which they'd expect would give them some decent opportunities to make their businesses viable, keep them going in the interim, would look to the business in the same way as farmers look to the government. In the next bill we're debating in this House in respect of the kiwi fruit industry, $25 million of relief provided to that industry, and I applaud the government. I applaud the Minister for that, but here we have a supplementary order paper which provides the mechanism for the tax treatment of government grants to businesses, exactly the sort of mechanism that's needed in Christchurch right now. And if I was going to ever support this bill, if I got an indication from members opposite that they would actually see that there would be some support for Christchurch businesses, I'd be tempted to support them on this. I'd be tempted to support them, but we're not going to hear it. I'll bet you $1 on that we won't be hearing from any members opposite, because they are lions when it comes to issues at times, and then they are lambs at other times. And this is very much lamb. This is very much a lamb time for members opposite. They should be standing up and demanding that the government support, at the very least, the very modest Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce package, which could have benefited from Clause 28B under the supplementary order paper to this bill. They were envisaging some interim modest support. They were going to work in concert with the North Canterbury Enterprise. They were seeking about $950,000. So in total, the Cabinet was being asked to tick off around $4 million of support, the kind of support that's envisaged by Clause 28B under the supplementary order paper, and instead we got a derisory $100,000 shared with Kaiapoi to promote Canterbury businesses. And I wish the ministers in the House tonight would take a call and tell us why we're not seeing that support, because the mechanism is there under Clause 28B, and it's about time ministers explained to this House why they won't stand up in support of their constituents, their very constituency, the small and medium enterprises, the constituencies that provide the jobs in Canterbury, because most of the employment comes from small and medium enterprises. They're asking for the sorts of relief and support that is envisaged by this Clause 28B under the supplementary order paper, and there is the opportunity for the government to put into place and use the tax treatment provided by this supplementary order paper, but we are hearing nothing. We're hearing nothing from members opposite. They're not taking a call. They're treating the House with contempt. They're treating Canterbury with contempt, and they will rue the day. They will rue the day, because people will not forget that at their time of need, when there is a mechanism with the tax treatment available, the government abandoned them. The government abandoned the people of Canterbury at their time of need. The Prime Minister came down after the earthquake and said, "We will do whatever it takes. We will do whatever it takes to help you, Canterbury," on the record. That's what he said. And so far, and I commend the government for their early response, Peter Townsend from the Canterbury Employers Chamber of Commerce came to the government. Within 5 days, you were able to put in place the wage subsidy. I commend the government for that. I'll acknowledge that was a very useful thing. But there was $15 million budgeted for that. And do you know how much of that $15 million was spent? $12.5 million. They didn't even spend all of the money that was allocated. And here under Clause 28B, under the supplementary order paper to this taxation bill, is the mechanism that allows the government to support the people of Canterbury, the small and medium enterprises that are bleeding jobs for lack of cash flow, down by half and more. They need assistance, they need support to get them through. The Christmas period is usually their bumper time. The people are not coming in and shopping. The cordons around the city are discouraging people. They're staying away. And more than that, every job that is lost in the CBD is compounding the impact, including that member opposite's families, businesses who won't get the benefit of those people being in the CBD and buying their shoes and their shoe linings and all of those things that they do, getting their shoes repaired. They're not able to get that support anymore. They were looking to the government. The mechanism is there. It's there under Clause 28B, and this government has abandoned Canterbury at its time of need after a once in 750-year earthquake The mechanism is here in the bill. It's there provided for the government, and it's gone deaf on Canterbury. It's absolutely gone deaf, and I think it is a despicable thing as we head into Christmas. We've got a government which has effectively abandoned the people of Canterbury and told them that they're on their own.
To advise the member